Yay!
Haha!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Speculate Presents. We are going to be checking out the early access version of In This World, a world building game by Ben Robbins, who is the creator of Microscope, perhaps the most famous world building focused TTRPG. In This World is currently on Kickstarter for about another 48 hours. So if you like what we do here, you can go and pledge and become a part of making the full game happen and get a copy, which could be very cool. Thank you to the Rising
And
Tides.
if you don't like what we do here, that was on us, and you should back this game anyway because it does rock.
Yeah, we're gonna basically poke at this game and see what it's like in the current edition. This isn't the final version. There's going to be probably a lot more material, a lot more prompts and support in the full game. But because a couple of our members are not available today, we kind of have punted to this thing that we can just poke at a bit more casually, and we are very happy to do so here on stream with you all as we talk and work through this. We encourage and invite any commentary or suggestions that folks in the chat might want to give that we can draw on. We may or may not use any given suggestion, but we appreciate all of them. So with that being said, I'm going to invite my fellow strange friends who are here to briefly introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves for the most part, and then we will get going. So Brandon, if you would like to start.
It is me. Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon O'Brien. I am a poet, writer, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago, and one of the co-hosts of Speculate alongside Mike and our good friend Gregory A. Wilson, who is not with us at the moment. I am the author of the poetry collection Can You Sign My Tentacle, which is the winner of the 2022 Elgin Award, so that's very rad as well. And yeah, I'm here to break some worlds, I guess.
Okay, Iori.
Happy time zone, friends! Iori Kusano, writer, gamer, shitposter. Please do not forget that my debut novella, Hybrid Heart, came out from Neon Hemlock in March, so you can put that into your eye jelly right now if you so desire. As always, FTC regulations require me to remind you that I am a wizard of the coast. I have no sorceries and enchantments which I can share with you. Do not ask me wizardly questions. But all my opinions are my own and are not reflective of my employer's stance on anything in any way whatsoever.
Okay, and I am Mike. I publish as Michael R. Underwood, they or he pronouns for me. As Brandon said, I'm one of the co-hosts of Speculate, along with Brandon and Greg. I will be facilitating this session of In This World. Facilitating is not GMing. Facilitating is more, I'm the person who declared ahead of time that they will have read the document and help orient us in play. So I'm going to try to not claim any special authority, but I may occasionally remind us or encourage us to circle back or move forward or something like this. In This World is a fairly, like, the level of involvedness is fairly light. I would say it's less involved as a world building game in this edition than the game that we played a few months back, where we made Gutter or something. It was very cool. That was A Land Once Magic, is the game that we played last time. So I think what I will do now is I'm going to read us the Getting Started page on In This World, which we are encouraged to read aloud to introduce the game. And so this is again from the early access edition. Do not count on anything being exactly the same in the final version of this game. Getting started. And so this set of 4 things are in italics. Nations have borders. Police carry badges. Dragons breathe fire. You work for money. That's the world we expect. But what if some of those things were different? We're going to make and explore a world together, and in this world, we can question things and imagine alternatives. Instead of just making one world, we're going to make several. 3, in fact, today. That's me editorializing. The book continues, so don't worry if what we create is not what you want. You'll have more opportunities to explore other possibilities later. So there's no guarantee we'll do anything with these worlds. This is currently an exercise for our entertainment and yours, those who are watching and or listening now. We have, as you should be able to see, a shared Google document. For folks that are listening, we will just try to be good about reciting and describing the text as we add it. This is the document we're going to put all of our text into, and we are each going to contribute. The next thing that we need to do is pick a topic to explore. The topic can be any aspect of the world, big or small, and it's going to be like the center of the whole game in each of these worlds. We're going to make 3 different worlds that vary on some aspect of this topic. It should be something that we're all familiar with and interested in talking about. We're not making anything new yet, but what we are encouraged to do is brainstorm a few topics together and then pick one as a group. So what are some topics or elements of world building that we might be interested in taking as our subject in doing some alternative speculation?
I think the obvious and low-hanging fruit here is games and game culture and how people play.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if Iori, if you want to add games there in your text,
Yes.
I think that's a great option.
I am inclined to agree.
I am not red.
It's because you were red because my cursor was at the same point. I think it overrode. All right, so I've got games. Brandon, what topic occurs to you?
Mm-hmm. So, I will admit that everything that occurred to me when I knew that we wanted to play this strikes me as very intense. So on this section in the early access rules, the last paragraph of picking a topic reads, "Don't worry if you don't like how your topic plays out in the real world, because in this game we're going to explore alternatives and make things different." And the part of my writer brain that also abhors a great deal of the world was like, what are some of those big systemic issues that we could decide to just recolor in this moment? And then I was like, no, maybe we don't want to do that on the day that we're just messing around with the game. So at the moment, I do not have an answer for you that is not an attempt to solve the world's problems.
Sure. I think that it's an understandable impulse, since we spend a lot of time thinking about the world's problems and have, in our longer games, taken some of those terrible things and put them in our crosshairs. So let me think. What about toys, dating, education? We have games. We could do transport or transit. That can touch on social stuff, but doesn't have to. We could maybe imagine some fun things.
I think that would be cool.
Okay. So I have put down transit, and we can probably get 1 or 2 more. So absolutely, Brandon, if you want to add one, and then maybe one other idea. And chat, if you have a kind of a social or world topic that you think would be fun for us to speculate on, you're welcome to make a suggestion, though we may or may not take it in hand, as previously discussed.
You know what would be a very unique one to rethink? Food.
I was thinking about food as well, yeah. So that is a Brandon. Okay. So games, transit, and food. These are some things that can at least be associated with positive stuff. depending. Do we feel good about these three? Do we want to add anything else?
I think these are good for tonight.
Cool.
Yes, this sounds like an exciting starting point.
Yeah. Okay. So for this, we are encouraged to pick one. Oh, Triffity Mats in the chat says music/dancing.
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's certainly an option. So we have games, transit, food, and music/dancing. We're supposed to pick one of these, and then they are the core of the different worlds that we're going to make. So we'll talk about the aspects or the manifestations of whatever this core thing is, and then we'll start changing and modifying some of them.
I think we could start with games. I'm kind of curious to see what we come up with in that for that one.
Okay. And that was an Iori suggestion. I'm also good to do that, and it's amusingly meta and on topic for us on a channel where we play games, and or Greg plays games, and or we all play games together. So if we take games as our topic, I think any of the others would also be a lovely core theme, and maybe we'll get to come back to it. So next step, in the real world. Before we make anything up, we need to talk about how the topic works in the real world. We're not inventing anything new yet, just talking about what we would normally expect to be true. To start thinking about the topic in general, we're going to brainstorm its key ingredients. If you're talking about this topic or describing how it worked in the real world, what objects or things would come up? And so if we do games as our big thing, so what are the things we would associate with games?
I think two very immediate, like, person level things that would come up are obviously players and spectators.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and add those?
That's not my color. I'm just gonna type the thing and then change it.
Okay, we got players and spectators. Iori, what are a couple of other elements that you want to
Strategy.
Strategy, cool. Let's see, ingredients. I'm going to get myself read again and go down a couple levels. And I'm going to say rules and cards. They are, I think cards should be fine because cards are very common in games, even if they are not universal to games.
If we're talking about individual play objects, then dice also come up.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm thinking of something like simulation, or the ways that games simulate or emulate real things. But I wonder, like, is that too intangible for what we're looking at here?
No,
I mean, I just
that's still
added
useful.
imagination to the list. I think you're fine.
Okay. Great.
It may not be a physical element of the operation, but it is an obvious element, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In chat, Triffid has brought up the idea of goals in a game, whether they're competitive or cooperative or something else.
Excellent suggestion.
Yeah, goals as an element definitely does count.
Okay. So that gives us players, spectators, strategy, imagination, rules, cards, simulation, dice, and goals. says 5 to 7 elements is about right. We have 3, 6, 9.
We're overachieving.
We are overachieving. I'm happy to drop simulation because I think imagination gets at some of that same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It gives us 6, 8. We probably, do we want to stick with 8 rather than delete anything else?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll stay where we are.
Okay, so that is going to be, those are going to be our elements. We will use them in our next step, but won't need them later on. Okay. Make statements. Now that we've warmed up by thinking of the different aspects of the topic, we're going to define how the topic actually works. These statements will become the framework for the rest of our game. Takes turns saying something that is obvious and generally accepted about our topic in the real world. Start your statement with an element or the topic itself and then say something about it. Keep each statement simple and say as little as possible. Some examples. Cities have roads. Weddings are planned. Teachers are paid professionals. Food comes from plants or animals. So this is, like, we don't have to imagine here. This is setting a baseline.
Woohoo.
So, statements. I'm just going to make this bold and bigger. Anyone who would like to go first, please proceed.
Players enjoy gaming. One hopes.
Sure hope so, yes.
I like this in theory because I'm entertained by the possibility of us getting to the point where one of the world's core tenets is that players play games specifically because they hate them and want to get them out of the way as quickly as possible.
Let's see. Strategy allows players to gain advantages or gain advantage in games. We're supposed to keep going until we have 10 to 12 statements.
Mm-hmm.
Dice are rolled to determine outcomes.
Yep.
Great. Now I've set this on a course for a roll where people just like swallow their dice or something.
Players choose to participate in games. Which gives us the opportunity to do something that departs from that.
We're going to invent the Hunger Games.
Maybe. We accidentally to Squid Game.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Dice are rolled. Goals. Let's see. The game's goal is known by the players. Generally true, if not always true.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Do we want to say something about spectators? Spectators enjoy other people playing games?
Mm-hmm. I was trying to process something to say about spectators, but I think that by itself just works.
Yeah, we don't have to get fancy yet.
We do not yet need the arcane rules of sports betting.
Yep. Let's see.
God, I feel like my blink is super glitchy today.
Imagination is important in games. Let's see. So we have something for goals. I don't know that we have anything for cards yet.
Cards or rules?
Rules. Let's see. Rules generally don't change during the game. Even though we have stuff like Flux where they do. 2, 3, 4,
Cards
5,
have value outside the game.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 1 to 3 more, I think. Strategy, imagination, rules, cards, dice, goals, players, spectators. Maybe something else on players could set us up for world building wackiness. Let's see. Players can compete in teams, or something about like cooperation. To as a strategy. Players cooperate as a strategy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10. Do we want to add some more?
Does chat have anything for us?
Good question. So any like clear
Play along at home.
Yeah, clear statements of this is how games work in the world as we know them, that then can be the baseline that we vary from. Let's see. How about spectators bet money on games? Because that way we can set up spectators bet something else on games. Games are sequential in time, says Triffity Matt.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm intrigued to see us break that one, I guess.
That's very good because it's so unquestioned. Because it relies on our understanding of how time works. Okay. Dice are elements of randomness in games, Brandon adds.
Like, I've been thinking for the longest while about statements that differentiate between the ways that we use dice in games and the ways that we use cards in games.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're now up to 13 elements, or 13 statements. So we can probably stop there. I'm just going to reread all of them for clarity, especially for folks who are listening. Players enjoy gaming. Strategy allows players to gain advantage in games. Players choose to participate in games. Dice are rolled to determine outcomes. The game's goal is known by the players. Cards have economic value outside the game. Spectators enjoy watching other people play games. Dice are elements of randomness in games. Imagination is important in games. Rules generally don't change during a game. We'll do a game. Players cooperate as a strategy. Spectators bet money on games. And games are sequential in time. So we're supposed to arrange these roughly in rough alphabetical order.
It might be easier to do them by category, like all the card ones together, all the dice ones together.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm just going to put spectator stuff with spectators. So let's do some clustering. Yes. So we're if you're listening, we are all poking at the Google document. If we were playing in Meat Space together, we are encouraged to put each statement or element on an index card because then you can move stuff around really easily. I think that would be a great, if you're doing this as something like an exercise in a class or as like a team building exercise in some kind of situation.
Oh God, you could use this for corporate team building.
Right? Like you set the topic as like business and you write down like basic assumptions about business.
Oh my god. This sounds dreadful.
We ruined it! Oh my
Well,
God!
because it would be approximately like 15 minutes before people just started describing crimes.
Yeah,
Like that's a crime.
Would,
You described a crime. That's a crime business.
yeah, it would be every superior's world would be like, in this world, employees work for money. But in the world that I just created, employees work for the love of the job. And then all of their subordinates would be like, this is how I would dismember you if I got the chance, if it wasn't illegal.
Right. Like in this
In
world,
this world, employees obey their manager's instructions. But here, when a manager issues an instruction, we put them in the forest naked, and they have 3 days to find their way out.
right. Some manager postulates a world where labor law doesn't exist. Okay.
Yeah.
So terrible use there. Ben, I don't want this for you, but I do want you to have money for all the good games you make. So good luck. Our next step is now we're going to imagine new worlds where things are different. Each player is going to start one new world and create the initial vision for what we explore together. Once each world is done, we'll set it aside and start over again, repeating this process until we have a whole string of worlds. In this case, we're going to have 3 worlds. Instead of collaborating, we'll take turns contributing independently and building on what other players have said. Another form of collaboration, but I get the idea. When it's someone else's turn, give them time to come up with their own ideas. It is critical we listen to one another and don't contradict what has already been established about each world. Not every world will turn out the way you want, but since you'll be making several, you'll have other chances to craft what you like. So, to make a new world, one player volunteers to start. It must be someone who hasn't already made a world this game. So, who would like to make the first world?
I volunteer as tribute.
Okay. So, Iori, you're going to pick one statement and describe how, in this world, it is not the same. So one of these statements, copy and paste down into
Sure.
a new thing. I'm just going to make a label Iori's world. And we'll work in that first.
Let's see.
Now we will someone set a timer for how quickly these worlds become absolutely wild.
Okay. I have taken the starting premise of spectators enjoy watching other people play games, and I have turned this into jury duty.
Okay.
Spectators are called to watch
You
other people
get
play
a
games.
funny little summons letter in the mail when it is your turn to go watch a mandatory game.
Okay. Second, that player will pick 2 statements that are still true and stay the same in this world. If necessary, describe how they mesh with a statement that was already declared to be different. I can already tell this is going to be a good solo world building tool as well.
I was Brandon colored just then. I have put myself back on blue text. Let's see. I would say that spectators bet money is still true. It is a way to recoup some of the inconvenience of having to take off work to do this.
Cool.
I'm sorry. It is early in the morning. I did not get enough sleep. I'm really failing at typing today, and I apologize for that.
So in the
And let's
game,
see.
we are.
I need to have one more true statement, right?
It can be up to 2, is what I see
Oh.
the rules say. So it can be 1,
Yeah.
but if you have another one,
I'll just
we'd love
go
to
with
hear
one
it.
for now.
Okay. So later on, there is the. Basically, we're given the idea that you can do a multiplication symbol or X for something that's different, an equals for something that's same, and then a plus for add a detail. Is it okay if I implement that
Yes,
with these?
please.
Okay. And I'm just going to make the X a bold X so that it stands out a little bit more, and do that with all of these things.
Yes.
Great. So we have that. Once you're done with statements that are true, third, the player may also tell us broadly what this world looks like. Is it modern, shiny futuristic domed cities in outer space, ancient peoples? Otherwise, we assume the world looks like ours now. They can also say whether the statements that were different had always been that way, or whether the world used to be like ours and then changed.
Let's see. I think this is still a modern world that used to be like ours, but changed. I am not going to say my hypothesized reason why, because I'm really interested to hear how both of you think we got here.
Okay. Do you want to write a quick summary of that?
Yes. Hang on. I am really fucking failing at typing today. I am sorry.
I feel like at least one of the worlds we make is going to be a prime candidate for a Black Mirror episode.
Possibly this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, once I get my hair under control here, great. Next, other players build. The first player has set the premise of this new world, and now the other players are going to add more. Players can go in any order, and everyone takes a turn except the player who started the world. Choose one of the 3 options. Something is different. Pick an unused statement and say how it's not the same in this world. Describe what it's like instead. Something else is the same. Pick an unused statement and describe how it is the same and how that fits. Or add a detail. Pick something that was already said about this world and tell us more, or reveal some other facet of it. And so you do equals for something is the same, X for something is different, and plus for adding detail.
Oh, I can't change the fancy version of the X into blue. That's silly.
That is silly.
So I can go next.
Yeah, please.
So I'm gonna say that something else is different. Because if spectators don't enjoy watching other people play games, it stands to reason that players don't enjoy gaming either. So I do think that in this world, instead of players enjoying gaming, it did kind of convert to players are essentially compelled by the government to play games.
We did it. We made the Hunger Games
Uh-huh.
in 2 statements.
Yeah. I mean, it's not very hard to make the Hunger Games, but we got there very effectively.
Hunger Games in 2? It's like checkmate in 2.
Yeah.
Or the I can name that song in 6 notes. I can make the Hunger Games in 2 statements. Excellent. That's terrible. I love it.
So I only get to do one thing, right?
I
Yes.
think we each player who is not the creator player for this world adds one thing. I I think I want to add a detail because I can take one of these and make it worse.
Ooh-hoo.
So I'm going to add plus here. Winner. So this is going to be something about winning, right? Get the oh, okay. Winners. I have an even worse one. Join the so the
So we
winners
didn't-
join a
God.
special class of citizen that get to determine what the games are. So not exactly the Hunger Games. Every winner joins the class that are the game makers.
Yeah, we didn't make the Hunger Games. We made the Brazilian Netflix series 3%.
Okay. So
We've also, I think, inadvertently created a world that has more social mobility than our own.
Hey-o.
I mean, if this is social mobility, maybe we don't need. Maybe just need to abolish class instead. Maybe social mobility
I
is the
fucking
problem.
wish.
Now that each player has contributed, for round 2, every player goes again in any order. But this time, each player can only add detail to something that's already been said. So this is in whatever order.
Ooh.
Okay. Hey, I have an idea. This is terrible.
Yes.
Go as hard as you
So-
want, right? We're going to be done with this in 15 minutes.
Oh God. So
We'll
I
make a whole new
can.
world.
I can definitely add detail to why spectators are called to watch other people play games. It's that you have to watch a mandated number of other people playing before you are given your opportunity to play.
Interesting.
Training.
Yeah, and you're not in control of when, like, once the game has been called, you have to be present to watch it, or else you will suffer consequences. And games can happen
Like jury duty.
at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh no. Worst jury duty. I actually did get a summons last year and had to write back, I am very sorry. I am in Japan. Which
What?
you should know
Wait,
because you mailed this to me.
In Japan.
wait, they sent you physical mail. They sent you snail mail all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know what they expected to hear from you after that.
Huh.
Also, in general, it seems like the American government is really bad at understanding the speed of international mail. Because this week I got a letter from the IRS saying, like, hey, you screwed up this form. Can you do it again? Please reply within 30 days of the date of this letter. This letter dated 11 May, which I received on 14 June.
Cool.
Good job, guys.
Grand.
Yeah. Yikes.
Meanwhile, I'm here like, I would like to perform my civic duty and actually be a part of a juried trial. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works in Trinidad, and I don't know how it works.
Yikes. Okay.
I
so-
think the majority of things I understand about how the law works, I learned playing Phoenix Wright. So I don't know shit about how the law works except that a parent is a valid witness.
Wow. There are a lot of very valuable things you do learn from Phoenix Wright, but if that was your only legal education,
How to have an incredibly codependent relationship with your childhood best friend where neither of you knows you're dating until you break up for 7 years and you become an alcoholic. Yeah, that's a very valuable life skill, I do admit.
oh lord.
Let's see. So, I want to add a couple more details. Brandon, what are you thinking?
Wait, do I get to do another one? Can
Yeah.
I just...
Yeah, we do a
Go
second round where
wild.
each of us add detail to something. So Iori has done theirs, and I'm thinking.
Ah.
Wait, did I do mine? I don't think I did yet.
Yeah, I don't think you did one for this
I'm
this
sorry.
round.
For this
yet.
'Cause
round,
the
yeah.
spectators' mandatory hours was Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I have one. If you are still thinking, Iori.
Hang on. I have a terrible one and I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Yes. Jesus.
Rematch.
The
Oh
winner
my
class is
God.
restricted. So, building on the idea that the winners join a special class of citizens that get to determine what the games are, the winner class is further restricted to a single-digit percentage of the population and must be called in a rematch to keep numbers down.
I'm pretty sure there's an entire season of Yu-Gi-Oh! That is just like this.
So I'm going to add detail to the very first bit. Watch the games in, let's see, neighborhood, theaters, neighborhood outdoor theaters that serve as the community hub for the
I'm
population.
picturing a story set in this world now where somebody didn't update their driver's license or whatever in time and is called on short notice spectator duty to a place 3 hours away and has to make a night drive to get there.
Oh, so it's the Warriors, but to go watch something?
Yes.
Wow.
That's great. Please, can you, let's just add that detail
Oh god.
because it's too cool.
Everything about both of those details are actually the most dreadful part of this entire thing. Cause what if
The extreme bureaucratic inconvenience.
not even just that. What if the very first game that you're ever called to spectate is 40 minutes before a forecasted earthquake?
Huh?
Well,
You've just been summoned to die with hundreds of strangers. This is tragic beyond belief.
Okay. So, to put the cherry on top, give the world a title that describes the themes or ideas that emerged so you can refer to it later. So, what's the title of this world? Captive audience.
yes.
Oh god.
I love this. God.
Jiri Hugar is also very good at Trifidi Mats. But good god. This
Okay.
is a lot.
God.
All right.
I want to do a horror film trilogy set in this world.
Right. I feel like
funnier version of the Purge, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
so I guess the question is, at what age do you become eligible to play, and at what age
Ooh.
are you do you start being compelled to be in the audience? And can you be
God.
in the audience if you're not called to?
I
God.
think you can be in the audience if you're not called to, because there would have to be like neighborhood cheer leagues.
Sure, yeah.
You know what immediately occurred to me that makes this even like more tragic? Because
The
of
Little
the
League practice division.
because of the cult, because I was thinking about this entire thing in the frame through the frame of esports, right?
Oh
Where
God.
both the majority spectator audience and the majority play community are made up of people under the age of majority.
Right.
So I'm like, the the play age is like 16 or something like that,
Hmm.
and you can spectate at any time beforehand. Like from 12, you can decide that you are spectating beforehand, but you are mandated to spectate a certain number of hours at 14, and that certain number
Hmm.
of hours is like 4 hours a day for every day between your 14th and your 16th birthdays.
God.
Such that you are obligated to watch a certain number before your first play, but that number will always be too little to be an expert player by the time you're summoned for your first game.
Sure.
Although, given what esports look like in this world, that is enough hours to learn probably every possible slur that exists
Oh
and
god.
also invent like five new ones.
Yeah.
Esports.
Oh god.
Now I'm
Okay.
just thinking about the Leverage Redemption episode where they have to save the exploited esports team
Uh-huh.
that's been like human trafficked.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that episode a lot. I hate that the video game has no rules,
Oh yeah.
but
It's
Mhm.
I
it's a
It was,
MOBA, but it's a fighting game.
yeah, it's
yeah,
like For Honor, but For Honor if you had combos like
like,
Street
yeah,
Fighter,
the
and I'm
video
like,
game part of it was very much designed by someone who doesn't video games, I think.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or it's like it might have been backronymed or like reverse engineered from here's the footage we have access to,
Hmm.
very likely.
because I don't think that show has the biggest budget, being on a
It
Who is
does
fast
not.
making our
channel.
next? Okay, who is making
I
our
guess
next world?
I guess I should go next.
Hee hee
Sure.
hee.
I will add Brandon's world.
Uh, um, in another attempt to either make the most radical world or the most like violently dystopian world that we can possibly imagine. Um, in this world, cards have economic value outside the game, but in the world that I'm about to create, um, cards have. Nope, that's not supposed to be bold.
Okay.
So yeah, cards have immense social value outside the game. What if being what if being upper middle class depended on whether you got the one of one collector set one ring from the Lord of the Rings set?
Uh huh.
Um,
So
two things that are still true,
yep.
right? Um,
So the fun thing is, if you are watching or if you are listening, you can take everything that we've listed out and then use the same framework and make your own game, your own world. And if and when you do that, please let us know about these terrible and wonderful worlds.
Right. So it is still true that players enjoy gaming. And that spectators bet money on games.
Okay. Probably want to put each of these as their own line because the people can like add detail and things.
Aha.
Okay.
And
then you get to tell us what this world looks like.
okay. So the world is essentially the exact same as our real world. But insofar as card games, trading card games in particular, of which I imagine in this world there is just the one. Like, what if Magic the Gathering won the trading card game wars so soundly that no one ever attempted to make one ever again?
Brandon, no, you've just created a world where Bandai doesn't exist. Now we don't have Kamen Rider.
Oh no. I mean, it could be any, like, because like I'm thinking through a Yu-Gi-Oh lens, so it really doesn't even matter what card game it is. But because I know Magic's economy so strongly because of the Lord of the Rings set, that's the way that it's manifesting in my brain, which is because we know that rarity is an actual physical representation of collectability, that a card that is ultra rare is very scarcely printed. Possessing a large amount of rare cards is actually a mark of class. That is separate from whatever other financial and other social gains might be potentially gained from actually playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a terrible way to imagine you pulled a Black Lotus and that's why your family can eat. But yeah.
Right. Or like you go on talk shows because you pulled a Black Lotus. People are like,
yeah.
So Brandon, tell us what it felt like when you drew that Black Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or you have
Describe the sound of the foil as you open the pack.
Oh my god! Or you have 4 of the 5 pieces of Exodia.
Oh god.
So every month there is a gossip piece written in People magazine about the imaginary beef between you and the person who has the 5th piece, and you don't even know who they are. You've never met them. So yeah, that's me. I hate this.
Okay. Brandon, I wrote a bit of a summary of what you just said. Please edit this to be most accurate and representative of your intent.
That definitely is my intent, yes.
Okay.
So that's the...
So now other players will build. We go in...
Paul is telling us how this happened with the McDonald's Monopoly game.
Oh god, I remember the McDonald's Monopoly game. I remember when the McDonald's Monopoly game was such a big deal. The fact that it came out as fraudulent was part of Trinidad news. Yeah, like it was such a big deal that it made Trinidad news because locals were using it to debate whether McDonald's should be available in Trinidad as a franchise.
Huh.
So yeah, that was wild.
Okay, so now Iori and I will build with something is different, something is the same, and or add detail. Let's see. I'm just gonna go look at the other factors.
I am going to give something different.
Mm-hmm.
Text color. Text color, why do you be like this? This is terrible. Why are you doing this? And I am changing. Games are sequential in time.
Wait, oh my god, wait. All right?
So games are played remotely with each player simultaneously deciding 3 moves in advance. Results revealed again simultaneously after all moves submitted. So like, remember when in the 80s and 90s people would play chess by mail?
Mm-hmm.
Like that, except you're both sending your letter at the same time. And also you have to send 3 moves at once. So you just gotta take a wild guess what you think that other guy did.
Yeah, like, I am very curious. I'm gonna have a lot of things to say when when everybody gets to just add detail, because that's wild as hell.
So I am going to add a detail to spectators' bet on games,
I see.
which is spectators may only bet cards. So spectators ante instead of players.
Oh my god.
Fascinating.
That's
Well,
bad.
So actually, that I can't do it quite that way because it says spectators bet money on games is already established as being the same.
Well,
So,
right, yeah.
but
But they may also, I guess.
Yeah. Also is fair game.
yeah, also bet cards. And what I would say is, like, detail wise, this is the main way many spectators gain cards.
Oh my god. Imagine you just wanted to make $100 so you could buy a drink after this game, and now you're out one Black Lotus and you still haven't made your $100.
Yep.
Brandon, sorry, did you just add the detail that like a beer costs $100 in this world? That hurts.
Oh god.
So now we do an additional round where everybody adds detail.
So the rules of In This World specifically go out of their way on several occasions to specify that during play you're not encouraged to, like, essentially coach other people's decisions or ask, like, loaded questions about them. So there's a thing that I want to learn that I'm going to learn when we are done making this world, which means that I cannot touch games that are sequential in time at all.
You're just putting down a face down trap card is what you're doing, Brandon.
Yeah, I have insisted. I wanna learn what happens here. Other people play to find out. I play and then somebody reveals the thing to me. That's how I'm gonna learn about that.
Okay.
So, another very curious detail Like, I want to flesh out. Like, I'm essentially changing a word in spectators also bet cards, which is the card is the ante to place financial bets in game.
Oh,
You
Oh,
cannot
this.
gamble unless you are willing to trade a card.
Put a card on the line.
Um,
Amazing.
yeah. I think that feels like it's totally within the parameters.
mhm.
If you want to add
Which
I have an additional detail for one single card game.
oh no!
Sorry.
We really
Okay.
just made Maximilian Pegasus. Okay, cool.
So
Yes.
I
The expiration and repeal of antitrust and anti-monopoly laws enabled a single behemoth card game to buy out and absorb all competitors.
Ow. Ow. We made Maximilian Pegasus. This is so wild.
that's amazing. Okay, if everybody has added detail in this next round, what remains is to name the world and then to do our after round, not technically in the game questions and chatter. So what shall this world be called?
I mean,
um,
forgive the Saint Seiya joke, but Pegasus Fantasy.
oh god, I'll allow it. I was trying to remember exactly what was the name of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime series where the rich people lived on a like floating island above the slums where all the poor people lived.
Was that 5Ds? Or was it GX?
Right. It was. Which one was the bike? It had to be five. It had to be GX,
I
right?
think GX was the one where they were in the schools, I think. Hang on. I'm Googling now. Which Yu-Gi-Oh had the motorcycle?
Okay, Brandon, what
I'm
was your
sorry that we're
question?
both nerds. What was my question? Was I about to ask the
5Ds.
question?
5Ds is the motorcycle one.
Right. Yes. That's the one. Um. But yes, we're going to call it Pegasus Fantasy instead. Was I gonna ask a question? Did my brain just become hollow?
You wanted to know something about the way that games were no longer sequential in time.
Right,
But
yes.
then I
Okay.
didn't elaborate on that in favor
Cool.
of making a capitalist hellscape.
No, so if this is a mechanical rule of the game itself, then the game itself is played suboptimally. If it is a house rule that it has time in the progression of the game to evolve, the natural evolution would be players would house rule one turn simultaneously at a time so they could know whether to counter things, because the other thing is this game does not have instant speed action. You can't react to cards. Cards just happen. There are no instant spells, there are no sorceries. You just cast creatures and creatures attack. Which is wild to me.
You also get spells and traps, but you have to play them based entirely on your own guesswork. Like, the way I am picturing this is you each have your stand with your little computer and you're looking down at your computer and you have to type in your next 3 moves, and after a time limit goes off and the buzzer rings, each person's moves are revealed and compared to figure out who passed.
So this game,
Oh my god.
it's Yu-Gi-Oh that's also Robo Rally.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I found it. I found the way we can make Yu-Gi-Oh worse, and it wasn't even pendulum summons.
This is tragic. Oh my god.
Let's see. Okay, so I have a question about the buy out and absorb all competitors. If absorb all competitors, but there's only one card game, then this mega game has the rules of all of those games combined, right? Is that what we mean?
I think it I was picturing something like if Weiss Schwartz actually purchased the IPs that they did collaborations with. Wait, Mike doesn't know Weiss Schwartz. Weiss
Oh my
Schwartz
god.
is a Japanese card game which is not terribly complex, but does a lot of collaborations where they reprint the same cards with new art, except the art is licensed from like Bleach,
Okay.
Idolmaster, Hello Kitty,
Sure.
Dragon Ball Z. And Vice Force does almost all collaborations. I don't think it actually has original characters. The appeal of Vice Force is I get to combine my favorite things, which were all made by different companies that would normally never work together, to make a deck which is entirely reflective of my Blorbos.
Right. Which reminds me that one day we will get to play Interstitial Our Hearts Intertwined, which is an RPG about playing characters from across a bunch of different franchises because it's a game inspired by Kingdom Hearts.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, I'm picturing this as working like Vice Schwartz, where like it probably cannibalizes between 1 to 3 rules from everything it purchased, but its major thing was purchasing settings and characters.
Sure.
So now the conglomerate game has like every possible anime that you ever watched as a child as part of it.
Yeah.
That's
Or like Battle Spirits
Mhm.
owning the exclusive rights to make Kamen Rider cards and being the only thing that can do that.
right. That's pretty amazing. All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about or geek out about for Pegasus Fantasy Brandon's world?
Oh my god. Um, I just want to say that I delight in the fact that we just naturally landed on what if the only way that you can bet money in this game is if you had to sacrifice your only capacity for social mobility as well. Because that's like double the class struggle.
Right.
You can physically not have money and then not have the means to be considered landed gentry at the exact same time and not be able to do anything about it. I just kind of hope that the next time something will change about that.
All right. I think. Okay. Let us take a short break before we return for the third world, which will be my world. And then when we're done with that one, we can kind of put the game up and talk a little bit about our experiences with it and do some wrap up. But we will go to title card and be back in about 10 minutes. As a reminder, a break for us is also a break for you. So I would encourage folks who are watching live or later to consider taking a break, drink a beverage, eat a snack, move around, check in with people, whatever it is that you will need to do to take care of yourself. And we'll be back with more of In This World in just a bit. Hello, we are back. I'm making sure that my waveforms are doing a thing. Yep, that's that. We exist. Hello and welcome back. We are playing In This World by Ben Robbins with some of the Strange Friends crew. So far, Brandon and Iori have kicked off a world. We have the world of captive audience, where spectators have to go watch games like it's jury duty. We have Pegasus Fantasy, where cards have immense social value outside of the game. And now I am going to pick a statement and make it different for a third different setting.
Mike, you don't need to feel like married to the games thing if you want to experiment with another topic.
I think I have a different enough angle that I feel good about it.
Oh ho ho!
So
Mike's original statement was the game's goal is known by the players, so we're about to get extremely wild in here.
Game's goal is known only to the spectators.
Cool.
So this is like Game Changer, but instead of Sam Reich being the one that knows the goal, only the spectators know the goal. Maybe the people who are running the game know the goal, and that's fine. But that is for part one, and then I'm going to declare two things that are still the same. Players cooperate as a strategy is the same, even though they don't necessarily know what they're supposed to be doing. And
half
what
the
else?
cooperation is figuring out what's happening to them.
Let's say, what is what else is necessary here? Players cooperate, strategy. Rules generally don't change during the game. So the goal is known by the audience / the spectators, but the rules generally don't change during the game. And so that's that, and now I'm going to describe. This is, so, it's like Game Changer on Dropout, like I said, where players are filmed trying to figure out what the goals of the game are. And then audience members are able to send or able to communicate with players cryptically and through varieties of mini games. So there's games within games. The spectators are playing a game to communicate things, to try to / send messages to the players who are cooperating as a strategy because they're trying to figure out what the rules are so that they can then know how to win.
A brief sidebar. What is everyone's favorite episode of Game Changer?
It has to be Trapping the Mini Green Room.
Yeah, like, I love the one where it's rigged against Brennan and he goes on that epic rant, but definitely the escape room one is my favorite.
So I don't know that I've watched full episodes of Game Changer. I just know about it because of friends liking it and watching like segments in YouTube shorts or on TikTok or whatever. But my favorite segment is probably Good Cop, Comrade Cop for obvious reasons. In this, Zach is asked to be good cop, or actually it's good cop, comrade cop, Zach and Brennan. And so Zach opens with good cop, and then Brennan's like, don't listen to a single thing we say. Don't tell us anything. Ask for a lawyer. And it's like, it goes on and they go back and forth several beats and it's wonderful.
Beautiful.
But now...
I will.
Go ahead.
I will also just add as an aside that my number 2 episode of Game Changer is, I don't even know how to describe it because obviously it's Game Changer, but there's an episode where it becomes increasingly obvious that the point of the game is that you gain points for completing sexual innuendos. And the part that kills me is
the I like my coffee episodes.
But the thing that kills me is the one who is obviously winning at some point just reveals that they're asexual, and I'm like, cool. Of course you know how this works. You've witnessed other people doing this so often. You can just game how silly this is.
A very good variation on that was when they revealed that Grant's mother had been watching the whole time, and then brought her on stage.
Okay. So,
but yes.
Okay, we have players cooperating to figure out what the goal of the game is. And audience members able to give hints.
I already have a thing.
Okay. Yeah. This round is Brandon and Iori either say other things that are different, things that are the same, or add detail.
So I have a thing that is different.
Okay.
Oh ho ho.
So dice are not elements of randomness in games. Dice are physical clues left by the audience for players.
It's still a die, but it's just 6 visual hints on a small stone block about what the game is supposed to be.
Okay. Now, is this right? I was going to do a thing that the game says we're not supposed to. So
that's what our other details are for.
Yep, and for the after game chatter. All right, and Iori has their idea. This is adding detail to spectators bet money on games, and I will let them describe the detail.
Spectators bet on which individual player will figure out the goals first in real time, and current betting statistics are available to the players, which functions as a further hint in a sort of hot, cold way.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so the next round is everybody adds detail, and this is just adding detail, the plus note. Well, I guess I could answer my own question by just making it a thing.
Oh no.
Many types of dice are used as the clues/hints, because why should we limit ourselves?
Oh god, imagine getting a clue D20. You have no idea what any of these things mean in
I
concert.
also have an add-on for this.
Oh lord.
Amazing.
I see.
Only one audience member is allowed to enter the set to place dice and must be elected by popular vote within the audience.
So now an entire other game is happening. I love this so very much.
Yes. Play along from the studio audience.
All right. Brandon, do you have another detail to add?
I'm thinking of the mechanics of this detail before I actually write it out. Aha.
I have a title idea, but this is not.
I appreciate that so far we have achieved 33% of our worlds are not implying complete hellscapes.
Uh-huh. This world just has a weird game show.
Yeah.
I figured maybe a change in pace would be nice as our cooldown. Players may also bet their.
Oh, amazing.
Okay. Brandon, if you want to read that out for the listeners.
Players may also bet their own scores with each other on who will discover the goal first, gaining more points while not completing the goal. I drew that from my favorite reality game show, The Genius, where among other things in the game, including but not limited to actually completing the task in front of them in order to win money, they can bet money that they've won in previous games with each other on whether someone else will win this game before them, or whether a certain person will fail or lose. And that's how a lot of other people be like, I can't win this, but I want to not be poor, so I'm gonna bet instead.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah, like you don't have to win this game. You just got to pay off your student loans with it.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't help that everybody who has ever played The Genius was rich and didn't need the money, but still.
Yeah, not so much. So I have a title idea, mostly because it sounds funny. Clue D4.
Oh god.
But that's just.
I love this.
That's just because it sounds funny. I don't want to dictate if someone else has a title idea that they want to use.
Oh no, this definitely works.
Okay.
Yeah, that's glorious.
We're gonna go up here. Okay. So we have my game Clue D4, where instead of the game's goal being known by players, the game's goal is known only to the spectators, where the audience is playing a mini game to be able to communicate to the players so that the players know what the goals are, and there are running odds and tallies about which player is likely to discover first, because only because there's betting on which individual player will figure out the goals the first time. So there's like 3 or 4 layers of games and betting happening in Clue D4. It's really great and confusing.
Iori, something just immediately dawned on me, and only you will
What?
understand this thing. Mike
Oh, no.
accidentally stumbled into the plot of Kamen Rider Gates.
Well, let's see what. So the correlation would be, if you give 10,000 typewriters to 10,000 monkeys, they will eventually write a Kamen Rider.
Yes.
I mean, this is literally the case.
I'm pretty sure that some of the previous ones were written exactly that way.
Yeah.
Except when it was Kiva, the monkeys were misogynists.
But yeah, I love all of these for increasingly complex dystopian reasons.
So I feel like
I appreciate that we were able to make one that wasn't a dystopia.
this is a great anthology generator for fiction, right? You say like, here's the theme, and then you pick like 10 to 12 statements that are like, we encourage you to riff off of one of these statements so that you have like an overall theme, but then you have some clustering so that you're going to get like, oh, here's 2 or 3 different stories that are about some some jumping off from the idea that players enjoy playing games, or however it is that you're going to do that.
Yeah, this would make a very good like workshop anthology generator. Like
Sure.
we already know and like each other, already trust each other's creative acumen. After we spent like 3 weeks with each other. So what if we just took one day, played this game, and then everybody took the world that they made and was obligated to write a story about it, and then all put that together in a book.
Right.
Well, also, like, I think this is a great teaching tool. Like, if I was ever going to teach, say, first week at Clarion West,
Right.
this would be the icebreaker game to help people learn to get to know each other and trust each other's creative vision. And then you take the world you made, and there you go. This is what you're doing your first week story on.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Yeah, I feel like someone has probably already been doing this, but a full curriculum on like secondary world building, or whatever frame you want to put on world building, where most of the interface texts or reference texts are world building games, world building TTRPGs.
Mm-hmm. And so Ben Robbins is actually very good at this in a way that I am actually like really excited by. Because for the longest while I wanted at some point to do Ben's other game, Microscope, which is deliberately about making a very deep and involved world building for one setting from the outside in. Like, take all of the things that you already know you want, take all of the individually cool elements you already know you want to place in the world, and then discover what the history of those things should be in further steps along the story until you kind of come to the beginning of the story and know what it looks like in reverse. And I think what makes these games so cool is that it is remarkably easy to just kind of jump into one and blurt out the dumbest thing that has ever occurred to you, knowing that somewhere at the end you're going to come across a genuinely very deep, well-constructed element of that world building that you thought was just a throwaway joke, which is actually like really rewarding in a group to like not be under pressure to be smart, because the smart thing will come out in the process of continuing.
Yeah, something I like about Microscope is, at least the version that I remember from Friends at the Table using it on their road to Partisan. So they have a science fiction setting that they've done multiple seasons in, and they had a 50,000 year time jump from the end of the previous season in that setting to the start of the season they were going to make. And to do the world building to bridge over that time, they played a variety of games in like 1 or 2 shots. And the last one they did was Microscope, because that Microscope game was about putting things in order and making it make sense on the big picture. But they also did a bit where, they would drill in and do short scenes about individual moments so that they could then decide, does this end basically with an upbeat or a downbeat? And I like the idea of a world building game that also makes space for like vignette RPing, which I think we could do in this with in this world. But what it really makes me think about is, what are 3 to 4 world building games that can each do a different part of setting yourself up for an ongoing game, as like a, similar to Friends at the Table or anybody else who does all right, we're going to play game A as setup and then game B as the main campaign. So that is that. Yes. Again, this game in this world is on Kickstarter right now as of this stream. By the time this comes to podcast, I believe the campaign will be over, but you can often do a late pledge via like backer kit or something like that. So you can investigate that. Otherwise, I would say folks should just look up Ben Robbins' work and check out games like Microscope and Kingdom and Follow or other Ben Robbins games, right? Is that correct? Am I remembering?
I remember Kingdom. Let me check
Yes.
the website as
So
well.
I'm just going to
yes,
go to
Kingdom, Follow, Union, and the like micro version of Microscope Explorer.
Yep. And so that is lamemage.itch.io, lamemage.itch.io, or lamemage.com for Ben Robbins's work, which Brandon has already put into the chat because they are quick on the draw. Does anybody have anything else they want to say about In This World or the wacky worlds we made?
This was just a blast. I really enjoyed this.
Excellent.
Yeah, I kind of really want to do, like, at some point when I don't know what system we'd use for any of these, but I do want at some point for us to just play, like, a one-shot in one of these worlds as comically as possible.
Well,
I'm pretty sure we can wrench lasers and feelings to work with any of these.
well, would we use Deathmatch Island for one of these?
I am not familiar with Deathmatch Island. Would you like to tell us about that, Mike?
So Deathmatch Island is a fast-paced game about a deadly game show on a mysterious island chain. The competitors don't know how they got there. They have been selected and recruited, forced to risk their lives in a deadly series of games for the vague promise of a big reward for the sole survivor. That is the text for Deathmatch Island, a game by Tim Denny, or Denny. I'm very sorry, Tim, I don't know how to pronounce your name. It is a forthcoming game from Evil Hat.
It's based on the Paragon system, which is the system that games like Aegon also use, and it would work almost perfectly 1-to-1 with Clue D4 in a way that would like require very little narrative effort. All it requires is for you to not tell the players anything about what's going on, and it would work perfectly.
Okay,
I'm into that.
But then what game are the audience members for the players playing in your two-group RPG ridiculousness?
Oh my god!
Or is it like a Twitch integration thing?
I feel like there's a thing they're playing. Is there? I like the idea
of Twitch integration via some sort of visor with an HUD.
Yep.
There is a version of Twitch integration that I like in that, like, you know how partners have channel points on their Twitch accounts?
Right.
I like the idea that you are, like, that's the fake money that you're betting in this fake representation of this real thing. So yeah, like, now I'm very much into this now that you've put Deathmatch Island back into my brain.
Wait, can we get ARV to add a betting functionality with channel points? Like, how do we do that? Is there a way we can buy a double or nothing or something on rolls? Can he give this that as an extra tier and like maybe slightly under inspirations?
Interesting.
There's something there, you know.
Yeah. We'll have to poke at ARV.
Inspirations are almost always useful for us. I think it would be very fun to have something half price that is either extremely useful or completely wrecks us.
Right, like something that is just you spend channel points to say raise the stakes. Okay. Well, now that we are theory crafting ideas for games on this channel for ourselves and for other people, at the end of our stream about making different variations on games, I feel like we have achieved recursive iteration satiation. And
We've gotten very meta in
uh-huh.
here today.
Well, imagine that happening with a world building game about games with three writers who care a lot about games.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like we can probably wrap up there, unless anybody wants to add anything else.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Good game, team.
let's quickly go around and have folks remind viewers and listeners where everybody can find you, starting with Iori.
Iori Kusano. I'm one of those they thems. You can find me on Twitter at Iori Kusano, on Iori at Iori_Stagram, and at KusanoIori.com. My debut novella, Hybrid Heart, is out from Neon Hemlock now. So pour that into your eye jelly. And related to today's topic, I will be teaching a free class during the Summer Clarion West Write-a-thon in week 5. Pre-reg is not open yet, but that is going to be on Friday, July 14th from 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So mark your calendars.
And I'm just putting that date into the chat here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Brandon.
As for me, I have been not your humble stage manager this time. I was just a player, haha. Brandon O'Brien, pronouns he, him, or they, them. You can find me almost anywhere on the internet at The Rising Tides, including Blue Sky. Don't expect me to be on Blue Sky very often, but I am on Blue Sky. A reminder that my poetry collection, Can You Sign My Tentacle, is available wherever you get your favorite poetry books. And I think that it would be really cool if you got yourself a copy. And I also make games as well, so if you check out therisingtides.itch.io, you can find some of the small things that I make and some of the things that I will be making in the future, including a Kamen Rider inspired RPG called Hero Revolution that is still in development, but I will have much to share about very, very soon.
Excellent. And I am Mike Underwood, publishing as Michael R. Underwood. I have been the facilitator for our game of In This World. They or he pronouns for me. I'm one of the 3 co-hosts of Speculate, along with Brandon and Greg. You can support the show at patreon.com/speculate if you like what we do, by becoming a subscriber, and that will give you access to bonus videos, bonus episodes on various topics. I've done a bunch of GM prep videos across a few different campaigns that you can get access to there, as well as various interstitials and bonuses that we throw up here and there depending on whatever game we are working on. So that has been that. I want to say thank you to Ben Robbins for making a cool game and sharing the early access version with backers, of which I am very proud to be one. And I look forward to seeing the full game, where maybe we can revisit this sometime later on. Thank you, everyone who has watched live. Thank you to folks who are watching on YouTube. And thank you so much to our listeners. Thank you and shout out to Rudy Basso, our audio editor. And stay tuned for more Speculate. The next stream for Speculate is going to be on the 23rd, where we will be continuing our Court of Blades game, Valorword. And that will be at 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday, June 23rd. So I will see you then. Goodbye.
Bye.
Doodle-doo.